Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I almost said Friday. I'm all messed up. Don't pay no attention to me. David. Hi, everybody. Just getting everybody logged in. Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys can hear me okay.
Hi, Patti. Yes, we can.
Hi, how are you? For those of you that made it out to the trade show yesterday, it was great to see everybody. It was a long day. We learned some very interesting things at the trade show. Hello, hello. A lot of things we learned at the trade show, I hope made our eyebrows go up, maybe just a little bit. There was a couple of things that were said at the trade show in particular that made me raise an eyebrow. And that's okay. We have to realize that how do I want to say this to you guys? Let me pick my words and choose them carefully while I'm letting people get in. Yesterday at the trade show, one of my colleagues, someone I know, said that they have in their criteria that they don't rent to attorneys, they don't rent to paralegals, and they don't rent to law students. And she says, I put that on my criteria and it's okay because they're not a protected class. Okay. About 4 or 5 people came up and asked me, hey, Patti, I heard this and that. And I was like, yeah, I heard it too. Can we do that? She's right. She was challenged in fair housing decades ago in regards to it. And it was determined that they were not a protected class. That is correct. However, in my opinion, mine, just mine, it is discrimination against source of income. I'm sure Chris is going to talk about it because he heard it too. But we can't discriminate against source of income. I'd love to advertise all over the place that I don't rent to property managers because y'all seem to know more than I do. You know, you get that overzealous property manager applying to rent in your apartment community. Oh, I'm a property manager. I know everything. I've heard it all. Thank you, Julia, for laughing because you know right now in corporate America, we don't want to rent to property managers because they all act like they know more than we do. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant or ignorant, but when I got a property manager screaming at me, I'm a property manager. I'll rent your place. I'll take really good care of your place. I'll take better care of it than you ever could have because I'm a property manager and I know what I'm doing. And blah, 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 blah. All I hear is you think you know more than I do and you're boasting about it. That doesn't sit well with me. You know, I want to be the humble person that sits over here and goes, yeah, no, we shouldn't do that. Let's watch them face plant and let's not follow them off the cliff. Okay. So sometimes when we hear things, and I know Arlene will pipe up because she heard an attorney say something one day and she immediately called me, Patti, you're not going to believe what this attorney said. Yes, I will. You have to understand, sometimes there are some attorneys that will steer someone to do something so they can go argue the case. Okay. Sometimes it's kind of like an auto mechanic saying, hey, your brakes are a little squeaky, your warning tab's up, you should replace the pads now. That's what the warning squeaky thing's for. Rather than wait for that squeaky thing to become a problem and now you got to replace your rotors because it squeaked for too long. Okay. So sometimes, how do I say this carefully? We hear information we know is incorrect, but we have to stop ourselves and think, are they leading us to go down that path so they can save us from the disaster that they created to begin with? Does that make sense? Remember me? I'm the one that wants to sit back over here quietly and watch them jump off the cliff. I don't want to follow them. And I sure don't want to be right next to them. So please remember that when you hear things, property managers all have an opinion. I will give you several different ways of that opinion. And I think I've told all of you, I worked at a law firm for 10 years. So my very first reaction is to go straight for the jugular. Okay, let's get him. We'll get him. This is how we're going to evict him. This is how we're going to get him out. We don't always need to go for the jugular, you guys. That's how I've been trained. What's the quickest way to take their head off? Okay. As corporate America, that's how I was trained. In a law firm, what's the quickest way to get them to eviction? Okay. So sometimes my first answer isn't the answer you want because it's the jugular answer, and we got to find that balance and keep that balance right so that we don't have issues when it comes to showing them how big our teeth are, right? Sometimes we don't want to have to do that in a court of law. We don't want to have to do that because it's expensive. So sometimes it's better for us to err on the side of caution and stick with what we know rather than off with their head, off with their head, off with their head. Remember one thing, while you're taking people's heads off, it's one thing that we can all agree on, and that's expensive. Okay. So love me for what it's worth. When you ask me a question and I give you that quick cutthroat answer, don't always take the first answer I give you. The first answer I give you sometimes is the quickest way to take off their head. And taking off their head is not always what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to say. Chris has his 2 cents, and I know he's going to help me here. I got a fun, not expensive nuclear option for both dealing with, wait, hang on. I got a fun, not expensive nuclear option for dealing with exterminators. Chris. All right, let's get to people's questions. Julia, but that's not a good idea. But that is a good idea. That is a good out of the box thinking. But yes, source of income, dang. Okay. So we all want to say, and I'll tell you who I don't like to rent to. I'll just spill it out of my guts. I don't like to rent to attorneys. Why? They know more than I do about the legal aspect, about this, about that. They know a lot of stuff, okay? But I don't like to rent to them because they like to argue for a living. So everything that you present to them is most likely going to be challenged. Why? It's in their nature. It's in their DNA. But when you're dealing with corporate America and everything's standard and uniformed, you don't want to be challenged every time you turn the corner. For that reason alone, I don't like to rent to an attorney. I don't like to be challenged with every lease addendum, with everything. And I know you're laughing at me right now, Chris, and that's okay. But that's me. I also don't like to rent to property managers because they all act like they know more than I do. Maybe they do. You never know. But what's the likelihood? I also don't like to rent to nurses. I didn't say I wouldn't, said I didn't like to. Why? Because in my experience, keywords there were my experience, it seems like they take care of people all day long. I mean, they wipe people's butts, they deal with their injuries, they help them eat if that's what they need. They sure don't want to come home and clean. When that's what you do all day, you don't want to come home and do it. That's why mechanics don't take good care of their own vehicles. It's what they do all day. They don't want to come home and do it on the weekends, right? Same kind of concept. And I'm not telling you guys don't rent to these people because that's discrimination against source of income. Ooh. Make sense? How they get their income is how we're discriminating. Oh, yeah. Watch out for that, okay? If you were in that class and you overheard what was said, what she said is she's never been challenged because they're not a protected class. You're right, they're not a protected class, but source of income is a cause for discrimination in the state of California. So where you may have been challenged and you won, yeehaw. But where they didn't challenge you is where your back door's open and you could flood yourself if you're not careful. So please, again, when you're listening to anyone talk, and I'm sure Chris will give 2 cents about something attorneys say or some things that attorneys have been known to do. is sometimes they lead us to do what they want us to do. They lead us down this road. I know Arlene called me one day and she said, I just heard an attorney say that any landlord could raise rents more than 10% on a single family home anywhere in the state of California. She's like, Patti, how true is that? And I'm like, well, they're only leading you to do what they want to defend you from. Does that make sense? And I know I'm going to get a lot of questions of, hey, Patti, where are you today and what are you doing? I am actually in a clay warehouse. For those of you that don't know, I'm an artiste. I have a throwing wheel, so I do ceramics. And I'm in a clay warehouse today buying stuff for the fair because I took my, I want to call it a spinning wheel. And my sister says, no, 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 no. That has to do with yarn and thread. It's not a spinning wheel. It's a throwing wheel. So I'm taking my throwing wheel to the fair this weekend and I'm going to make a mess all over all those old biddies quilts. I'm just playing. Some of you were laughing. I know I can hear you from here. But yes, I mess with ceramics. I like to get muddy. Okay. So that's where I am today. I'm collecting items that we need for opening day of the fair this weekend. And for anybody that doesn't have anything better to do, Memorial Day weekend, you're more than welcome to come to the San Bernardino County Fair in Victorville and hang out with me. I'll be in an air conditioning building and I'll be getting dirty, throwing clay. It's how I take out my frustrations. What can I say? You know, sometimes you get to beat that clay and you beat it with a stick and if it's really wet, it splatters everywhere. Oh, it's great therapy. I just beat it. Don't ask. You guys all want to do a little clay therapy with Widget? Trade show yesterday, very educational, very entertaining. Did see a lot of faces. Bumped into a lot of businesses, got a few ideas, and some new people that we will have joining us and offering their services to us. I know the exterminator company that we had last week was at the trade show. They're going to become a member of AGLA's. Dan was ecstatic about the certifications that they offer because nobody's doing that. Where they're going to get you, and this is Patti talking to you, is in the event you need an expert witness at court. That's where that cha-ching, cha-ching. You guys understand that? So if they have to send somebody to a jury trial to testify as an expert witness, they're going to be charging that expense back to the landlord. But at least we have the capability and somebody that's actually willing to do it because we have lost that. Now we've gained it back. So I'm happy about that one. Let me see what else we got going on in the chats. Okay, and Val, I had a tenant move out and a knowledgeable relative said it was illegal for me to charge them the $75 late fee due. She said it could only be $50 max. I disregarded her expertise and sent a copy of the contract where the tenant initialed my 10% late fee. There is no late fee max, correct? Let me say it a different way, okay, Val? I got you. And to answer your question, I set my late fees at 10%. Let me tell you where the problem is, where the argument happens, and that way you guys can all understand, okay? Late fees are something that is a huge issue that is heavily litigated in LA County right now. I'll explain to you why. I'll explain to you the other part of the why, and hopefully it all makes sense to you, okay? Let me put it this way. If you don't pay your mortgage on time, your bank charges you $35 as a late fee. Yeah? Yeah. $35, don't they? Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Only you charge 10% and your rent is $3,000. So your late fee is now $300. Why? Because we don't want them to pay their rent late. We want them to pay it on time. So we implement a late fee as a deterrent. Deterrent from paying their rent late. Only some people have a very small late fee, $25, $50. And the tenant goes, oh, I'll pay that $50 every month just so I can pay my rent late. That's not what that's for, okay? It's a deterrent from them paying late. We want them to pay on time. So when we set up a late fee of 10% of the rent, and it gives you a $300 late fee, that's a big chunk of change and a big deterrent that encourages them to pay the rent on time. Following along? Okay. Once we charge that late fee, are we making a secret profit? Our late fee is only $35 and we're making that additional money. Are we making a secret profit? Absolutely. Is that illegal? Absolutely. Well, you know, we're not charging a $300 late fee. They just need to pay their rent on time. But once we collect it, are we making a secret profit? Are we doing something? I'm going to get attacked. Mom's beating me with a paddle, you guys.
Taking the lumps.
She's taking the lumps out. Well, in that case, let me stand up. You guys want to see something funny? I'm literally sitting on, I love you, Arlene. You guys got to see this, okay? Hold on, I got to stand up. This is what Arlene got me for when I go fishing. It's a little stool, but I can carry it like a purse. And it's got my name on it and it holds my lunch and my drink. But it's great for when I got to do a webinar with you guys because I can pretty much sit up anywhere. Thank you, Arlene. I love my little chair. All right. And that was Mom being funny. So, sorry, squirrel. Let me get back on track here. What were we talking about? Somebody reel me back in. I got to look at Val's thing. That'll help me, I'm sure.
It was late fees, Patty.
Late fees. Thank you, you guys. You guys are all awesome for keeping my H's and my D's, all 80 of them in order.
But Patty, I have a question on that same topic though. I know you said it's illegal. Obviously I don't do that, but just out of curiosity, if we want to like start thinking out of the box, who's to say what my peace of mind is worth? Because I'm someone that's very anxious. And so it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to be worrying about it. And maybe your peace of mind.
This isn't about worrying about, this is about finances, period, end of report. Has nothing to do with your mental state, sweetie.
I know, but I would think that like you could, I mean, not that I'm trying to charge like $1,000 or anything, but it's like,
well,
okay,
I want to.
But it's like, you know, I do when I don't see, you know, rent coming in, it's like, okay, fine. If it's not like a mental like health thing or anything, but having to follow up with them and then they ghost me and
It
then,
causes
you know,
anxiety.
but like even the, hey, are you going to pay? Don't hear from them. Hey, it's been, you know, it's already end of day. Are you going to pay? You know, now we're on the second, like, let's say it's the second, but, you know, I don't know. Again,
Okay,
not
so
that I do that.
I'm going to make it real easy for you. Okay. If
Hey, I want to express an opinion though.
yeah, I'll give you one, Chris. I knew you were going to pipe in. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Stop stressing yourself out. If the rent's due on the 1st and delinquent on the 2nd of the month, as long as it's not falling on a weekend or a holiday, then you're serving your 3-day. I don't communicate with them and ask them for the rent. I do that with a 3-day pay rent or quit. I don't call them and play nice. You know, they anticipate that, then they want to talk to me, or then they're going to ghost me. And that's when it creates the, hey, wait a minute. And it flips what I call my bitch switch. Okay. Which makes me go, what? You're going to ignore me? Oh, hell no. This is what we're doing. And it gets me fired up, just like it gets you fired up. Don't do that anymore. It's not good for your mental health. If it's delinquent and not there on the day that it legally needs to be. And what I mean by that is if the 1st falls on a weekend or a holiday, rent is due on the 1st business day of the month, not on the 1st, not on the holiday. So examples that we have could be, give me a holiday that's on the 1st of the month. I know there's a bunch of them, but I can't think of it. I was going to say April Fool's Day, but that's not a holiday. So
New Year's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew there was one out there. Rent is not due on New Year's Day on the 1st. It is not. It is due on the 1st business day. So example, if New Year's Day is on a Saturday, rent's not going to be due till Monday. Delinquent on Tuesday. On Tuesday, you're going to serve your 3-day pay rent or quit. Okay, thank you. June 1st is a Sunday. So is rent due on June 1st? No, legally it's not due until Monday, June 2nd, and not delinquent until Tuesday, June 3rd. Okay, that's what I'm trying to put in your guys' heads. Okay, it doesn't matter what your lease says. It has to do with which business day it falls on and if there's a holiday or a weekend. Okay, everybody got that? Even though your rent's due on the 1st, June 1st is a Sunday. Is rent due on Sunday? No, because the bank's not open. It's due on Monday, the 2nd. When is it delinquent? On Tuesday, the 3rd. Okay? Serve your 3-day as soon as it's delinquent and stop making that phone call that causes you anxiety. It's not worth your time.
I agree with that, Patty. And here's a perfect example where it's like, oh, how does like an apartment complex differ from single family? Well, an apartment complex, I could literally just walk 10 steps, you know, no big deal. But at the same time, the only reason why I do make that call, and yes, it does get me a little anxious or whatever, but I don't want to have to drive all the way to San Bernardino for a half hour. And then, you know, they're like, oh, I just Zelled it to you 5 minutes ago. It's like, you know, I don't know.
Well,
So I
then
feel like it is kind of
in that case, make the phone call while you're driving there with the notice.
true.
And then I'm going to do you guys another solid. You know those stupid, cheesy contractors clipboards? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. A contractor has them. Sometimes they're metal. They make a black plastic one for sale on Amazon. It has a calculator on the front of it. It's called a contractor's clipboard. Okay? Get in my brain for a hot minute. It has a compartment that you open and put documents in. Get yourself some transfer paper, okay? Contract paper, where you can take 2 notices that are blank and put that paper in between. And when you write on one, it copies onto the other. And you guys could write notices while you're out in the field. I love you. I hope you get that. Carbon paper. Is that what it is? I was going to say construction, and I know that's not right. I just bought 100 sheets of it on Amazon and put it in my construction clipboard, which has that cabinet. And inside there, I have blank curable breach of covenant notices, which I don't advise you to carry around unless you have a copy of your rental contract. Okay. I also have blank 24-hour notices to enter. Okay, they're in there. You guys playing along? So if you're driving around the neighborhood and you're going through town and you see a bunch of trash and debris in their yard, you can serve them notice while you're out in the field, as long as you have the right tools. I see there's more questions coming up. And I know Chris is biting at he wants to talk to us. So Chris, what you got?
I was just gonna say, I like the way Julia thinks, and without actually looking into statute again, it's an argument I would advance on behalf of a client. You never know what a judge is gonna sympathize with. Because like legally speaking, as far as damages, yeah, emotional distress is a recognizable form of damages.
Oh, I love
Not-
that.
not
Yay.
Not against a landlord and not in LA County. It's just not going to happen. In all
Well-
reality, in LA County, what our attorneys are having us do, and I'm sure everybody can speak for me, is if you provide a ledger to your attorney prior to trial, they ask you to rewrite it and remove all late fees. The reason being is there's a huge argument regarding late fees right now, and they are being heavily litigated as being secret profit, as being beneficial to the landlord, blah, 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 blah. Whatever they're trying to do about them, they're not allowing you to produce them in court, which tells me they don't want the argument to even come about. So if I was going to charge a late fee, I'd do it on a disposition of security deposit when they were exiting and there was less of a chance for me to argue. Keeping $100 on a late fee, okay. Are they going to take me to court for $100? Probably not. It's a risk that you take. And I'll tell you, I am a big stickler lately. I have not, especially in LA, been enforcing my late fees. I sure don't serve a cure or quit notice for them. I'll tell you that right now. It's just too risky. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
No, that's really all I had to say about it.
Okay.
If you're in another county, you might want to, I don't know. I would always.
I'll tell you right now, in Riverside County and San Bernardino County, enforce your late fees all day long. But in LA County, watch yourselves.
It's the communist county of Los Angeles. I mean, I'm not the only,
County of LA. Yeah, there you go.
I'm not the only attorney to have that opinion. So.
You are absolutely not the only legal counsel to have that opinion. Samantha, can you clarify the process for having to report positive rental payments to credit unions? Who is supposed to report this information? Landlord, best practice? Samantha, are you involved with, sorry, I see that you sent out a private message, my bad. The apartment association just taught a class on it and it's on their replay. So AGLA has it on their webinar replay. If you need more assistance with the process and procedure, you can message me. I'll go ahead and give that to you. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
No
Hey,
problem.
Widget, you skipped me.
I skipped you. Hang on. Who said that?
Scott.
Scott, you're the very next one in line.
Well, I was before Samantha, but you like her better than
Oh, no, there's a Samantha has one in front of you that came as a private message you can't see. That's what happened.
me.
After 3 days, they haven't paid. Can we move forward with an eviction and no need to follow them up to catch up? That is absolutely correct with one caveat, please. Okay? You
Okay.
guys need to pay attention to the CARES Act. Following along? Everybody paying attention? The CARES Act, okay, has to do with federal money. Okay, so if your tenant is on Section 8 or the BASH program, which is Section 8 for veterans, for lack of a better way to explain it, then you need to use the CARES Act notice, which gives them 30 days to pay rent or quit. And that 30 days does not count weekends or holidays. So it ends up being a 45-day notice. Patti, we don't have tenants on Section 8. Why are you talking to us about that? Because it also applies on the owner's side of the property. So if the owner did an FHA, a Freddie Mae, a Fannie Mac, you're also subject to the CARES Act, whether they federally insured it, federally funded it, or Freddie Mae, Fannie Mae, FHA. If there's any federal money touching that property, you have to serve a 30-day notice to pay rent or quit.
And
So
Patti, it's to anybody in that unit, even if the tenant that they're working with is not Section 8, as long as there's one in the building, they have to abide by that.
remember, there's no case law in regarding this yet. This is something new that came out. And the reason that they're saying the whole building is because there's no case law.
I
Got
see.
it?
Okay. It's yesterday in the lecture, that's what they said.
I completely understand what you're saying, but remember, that's someone's opinion trying to get you to err on the side of caution because there's no rule about it yet. Makes
I
sense?
see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm just talking to you out loud so you understand the why behind it, okay? But yeah, that's how that is. That's the CARES Act. That's what we're forced to do. It sucks for us as landlords because let's be honest, within 45 days, they got to pay the rent. By then they owe another month's rent. So you just end up playing the vicious merry-go-round cycle.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, you said something interesting. You said there is no case law. So if I, let's say, evict someone who's not on Section 8 with a 3-day notice, but I do happen to have 1 or 2 other tenants living in the building with Section 8, but this tenant that I'm evicting doesn't have Section 8. So I do a 3-day notice, I take him to court. Now, what happens, because there's no case law, can the judge say, oh, wait, you have a tenant sitting in another apartment that has Section 8, therefore your 3-day notice is not valid. So
yes, that's exactly what can happen.
So
until somebody tries it all the way to it becoming case law, nobody's set the standard of how the judges are going to rule.
So the judge may ask you, oh, do you have any other tenant that destroy our case? Is that what you're saying?
Bingo. Bingo. Error on the side of caution right now until they get case law regarding the CARES Act.
Got it.
Okay. All right. Now, Scott, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I because we've got certain tenants that are way under market and they're just a problem. And
3-day and evict, as long as it's not the CARES Act. And if you need to get them out, I'm gonna say something to this gentleman that everybody else is gonna go, what did Patty just say? Go straight for the jugular as quickly as you can before the rules change and we can't.
I hear you.
Okay, thank you. Just for the record and full transparency, he manages property in Riverside and San Bernardino and has nothing in LA. Agreed, Scott?
Yeah, we manage some in LA, but yeah,
But you know
90%
I'm not telling you to take their head off in LA County. You know
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm still letting people join us, so bear with me. Can you clarify the process for having to, I just talked to you about that. Agla did they have a webinar replay you can do. Melanie, LARSO tenant, wants her owner to update the electrical so she can put in a portable AC. Ah, shit. In previous years, I'll tell you why I said that in a minute. In previous years, the tenant has run portable ACs and the house power overload goes out. So to my knowledge, this is the first time he's complaining. And for some reason, he's adamant that this year he wants repair. Power does not go out otherwise. Tenant citing Civil Code 1941 that owner's obligated to maintain. This is something that just passed not too long ago in LA County, requiring all landlords within the county to, especially in Larso, and I'm sure if Arlene's in here, she'll pipe up and start talking to us about it because she's my little Larso guru. But landlords in LA County are now required to upgrade their electrical panels. Why would you guys be required to upgrade your electrical panels? Anybody? Anybody? Why are they making you guys requiring to upgrade your electrical panels?
Well, especially if they're outdated, if they're Zinsco or Panasonic or something.
They're outdated. Okay, so you guys agree with that?
They're
But
preparing to implement forcing us to have AC in all the units.
Correct. Yep.
No, now you get it.
They're going to
Now
force it on us.
they can't force it on you until 2028, but I'm telling you, January 1st, 2028, when they can redo the building and safety code, because it's logged in until then that they can't make it, whatever, that law can change January 1st, 2028. That's when they'll implement it and force you guys to all put air conditioners in LA County. That's why they're making you upgrade your electrical panels now. Sorry, I don't mean to be the burden of bad news, but there's usually a reason as to why behind them making us do something.
I think part of the issue, Patty, right now is with the control panels is insurance, and also they're concerned because like the federal and there's a few others that have been catching fire.
Yeah, it has to do with fire issues. It has to do with all of that. But in the very near future, you're going to have to be able to put in an air conditioning condenser unit. So you're going to need beefier electrical anyway. So when A and B equals C, guess what they make us do? Spend the money. That's how that works. A, B equals C, and we have to spend the money. I mean, it's pretty much how it works. Is the 5% rent increase max going to pass? No, sweetheart, that fell. Val, what you're talking about, and quote me if I'm wrong.
1157.
1157 was withdrawn, meaning it no longer exists. They're not trying to cap the max rent increase at 5%. I will tell you this, Inland Empire, buckle up. Ooh, wait, what? Because I heard Scott go, wait, what'd Patty just say? Inland Empire, you better buckle up. For the very first time since the TPA has been initiated, you are now capped at 7.5%. And it's the first time they've dropped below 8%. So Inland Empire, buckle up. The CPI just went to 2.5. So our max rent increases going forward are going to be 7.5%. And that's the lowest that Inland Empire has been given as a maximum increase in history.
Hey,
Yes,
Patty,
Patty's-
can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
So when do they calc the CPI? I thought it was done in December or January, but when was that 2.5?
They haven't even announced it to you yet. The CPI usually changes in the month of July.
for the next 12 months.
Correct. So you'll see that change in the CPI in July. So what did you just hear? Do your rent increases now.
Exactly.
And then Julia, you had a question also. Go ahead. I just recognized your voice when you were chiming in.
Oh yeah, kind of along Scott's when it was going to be implemented, because I just did a rent increase, so I didn't want to have to go retract that, but I guess we're good up until July. And why did it drop so low again? I didn't understand that.
It's based on the CPI, and for the Inland Empire area, the CPI is now calculated at 2.5%. So because of the Tenant Protection Act, also known as statewide rent control, we can only do 5% plus the CPI. Your CPI is 2.5.
That is awful, but okay. Thank you.
Well, it puts me in a whole nother thing. How is the Inland Empire CPI so much lower than everybody else's? I know, because their rents aren't as high. Sorry, I had to be an ass. Sorry, I'm needing clarifications. And now, so do we need to upgrade it now just because the tenant's requesting? I understand 2028 is coming. You know what? I would check with Arlene. Are you still on here?
Yes.
What is the requirement for LARSO regarding electrical panels? I just know that you've had to do a couple of yours.
We did not increase any power. We weren't able to. You know, we're 1936 building. So
But
we
what
just
did you have to do to your box and your panel?
completely new, refreshed, whole thing.
And-
New
and-
box, new everything.
And the city is requiring that, correct?
I was not required by the city. I did it independently with the expectation that I was going to lose my insurance, which I did.
Okay.
So I didn't, so I haven't, the city didn't come in and request anything.
So at this point, they're not requesting, but it's a matter of time before it becomes a request. And that's me talking to you. Okay, Melanie, they're not requiring it at this time, but it's only a matter of time before it becomes, I'm sure, just because there's so many outdated electrical panels. And Arlene's right. It's a really good way for your insurance company not to renew because you have an outdated electrical panel that doesn't have all the modern securities and safeties. I mean, come on, GFCI switches? Whew, they don't exist in 1930s properties. Just something for you guys to all think about, you know? All right, anybody have anything else?
I have a
Wait,
question,
wait.
but I can't.
Okay, Chris, you wait. Whoever was talking female voice.
Patty,
go
it
ahead.
was Susan.
Okay,
I
go
have
ahead.
a question. I can't remember what it was. I
Oh,
waited
you're fired.
since last week. I know, right? Yeah, this 50 menopause brain is just not working for me.
If it's okay, it'll remind you at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, I'm up at 3:30.
Yeah, right.
If I remember my question, is there a way I can reach out to you instead of waiting for next week Wednesday or?
Yeah, you can email me. You can text
Cool.
me. You're a member with Widget's Way now, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you can text this number. It's 1-900. I'm being funny. I'm being funny. Don't.
Girl,
Or
you're
I
gonna
will
change your
pick
number
him.
tomorrow.
And if I find out from anybody that it's like on a bathroom wall somewhere, you're all in trouble. I'm kidding.
I'll kill him myself, Wendy. I'm Patty.
I'm kidding. All right. Anybody else have anything? Because Chris, I know you were starting to come in. I see you, Val. I'll get to you. Chris, you had something?
Yeah, I had a little negotiation tip when it's kind of the nuclear option, and I only made use of it this week because Western Exterminators was giving me the runaround on a discount I was promised. We've been longtime customers with them before they were bought out. We referred like a neighbor to them before, and I was promised like various discounts and also couldn't seem to get the pricing portal set up, and all. It was just like a nightmare customer service wise, and I'm not going to be using them in a few months. But I had to threaten to go to the
that-
regulator and make a complaint. And I went I Googled and I found out there's something called the Structural Pest Control Board. That's their regulator, which is within the Department of Consumer Affairs. And I said, look, I hope I don't have to file a complaint with the, whatever it's called, the, whatever I just said, and with that board. And as soon as I did, the next morning, all of a sudden, all my things were taken care of magically. My discount was there. At least one of them was there.
Do you mean it's
So,
kind of like telling the attorney that we're going to contact the state bar?
yeah, a little bit. Depends on whether you actually.
So you
I
found us somebody that can hold their footing.
Right, they're usually terrified, and I knew about this in the Bureau of Automotive Repair because I once had something with like a AMCO that was like highway robbery, trying to highway robbery me, like way different than the estimate, and it magically went things go away too. So most regulated consumer-facing businesses are terrified of getting, of being reported formally to their regulator, and that's I don't it's not my first place to go. I really make an effort, a good faith effort to try and get what I was promised first. But if you lie to me, yeah, I'm going to threaten it.
I am so glad that you join us here on Widget's Way every week. You have no idea. All right, I got another one from Val. She says she is concerned. Hang on. I have a crazy one. Val, you always have a crazy one. I inherited a Looney Tune tenant 15 years ago. He is a total loon now. Okay. I understand he allows homeless to come over, some stay. Rent is paid on time by a relative. I recently learned his shower is broken and he has rigged a garden hose whenever and if he fills his homeless pals ever bathe. I was prepared to remodel the bathroom, but just over the weekend, he moved a trailer into the property. We believe he has someone living in there, but he's crazy and may say no one lives there and the trailer's his. My contractor's going over there to attempt to make contact. I am concerned due to the habitability to the shower versus him and inviting homeless community to come over and live there. Val, is he on a car form, a CAA doc? What lease contract is he on? Hang on, I need to get out of the way. So I just need to know what lease contract is he on? You said he's been there forever. If he's on CAA forms, the reason I'm telling you this is because there's a specific item in there regarding guests. And if they're staying there longer than that, then they have an unauthorized occupant. So you could attempt to attack that direction. When did they notify you of the shower? I know you know about the shower, but when did they tell you about the shower?
Same size.
Because you don't have to fix something that you don't know about. How can you fix something you don't know about?
Yeah.
Paying attention? In other words, you might hear about a repair through the grapevine, but if your tenant doesn't tell you, then you don't have active knowledge. How could you fix something you don't know about? Paying attention? Okay. So we're kind of paying attention. That's a lot of money to spend for somebody that's going to continually bring in homeless people. And I get that it's probably in the Tulies and not an easy property to rent. You were going to change out the carpet and the contractor noticed the garden shower. Yeah, I'd ask the contractor or anybody else to do a full-on interior inspection and call it a preventative maintenance inspection. Contractor may have noticed the Jimmy rig shower, but what else is going on there that he didn't notice? Like, are they, and you're not going to believe this one, are they having open fires in the oven? Gas is an expensive utility, and sometimes they try to heat the house by starting a fire in the oven. I've seen it all. 24-hour notice preventative maintenance inspection is why you're going in, and send somebody in there that's gonna look under the sinks. You're looking for water leaks, cracked garbage disposals. I mean, if these people are, how do I say this? I'm just gonna say it. If these people are messing themselves a new shower and doing things like that, that's probably not the only thing that's getting duct tape and baling wire. Go in and look. You don't want them to degrade your property to the point where, you know what I mean? Go in there and look. You want to be doing a preventative maintenance inspection. You want to be looking under every faucet, making sure you don't have water leaks. You want to be checking wax rings. The reason I keep going to plumbing is because water damage damages so much when it's unreported. I saw something, Val. I'm trying to get my screen to come back up. Here we go. I'm getting it. This is the tenant who had bed bugs. The relative paid for the service, but this crazy guy broke into the tenant property before allowed. Did you tell him if he was going to break into the property to make sure he took very deep breaths and held it for as long as he possibly could to exercise his lungs? You guys smell that? I think my halo's on fire. Sorry. Remember, don't take the first answer from me. It's probably sarcasm. I read my faces. I cracked myself up. I sure did. Yeah, anytime a tenant breaks into a tenanted property that's under fumigation, I always tell them, did you breathe that stuff in and hold it for as long as you could? It might kill you. Might make you high as a kite. You never know. Okay, funny story real quick. I had a licensed state B contractor one day. We had ribbon mold and all kinds of weird mold mushroom things growing out of a wall because it was near a rabbit litter box for a rabbit. So that moisture damage caused all kinds of weird Alice in Wonderland looking mushrooms and ribbon mold growing out of the walls of the property. And the licensed contractor comes to me one day and he says, hey, Patti, I don't suggest eating any of those. I ate one 4 days ago and I haven't been able to stop tripping. He was just joking with me. But I went home and told my dad, who at the time was much older. Oh, my dad laughed. He laughed for an hour. He thought that was hilarious. I'm like, Daddy didn't really do it. He goes, no, but just the thought of it is humorous to me. Oh, this is my funny for the day. Okay, that is why we're going to rip out the carpet, but my contractor told us about all the problems and he suggests doing nothing. Yeah, I would suggest, and this is me being transparent with you, Val. I would do a preventative maintenance inspection. My options are to increase his rent, try to get rid of him some other way due to his mental condition and turning my house into a homeless encampment. Exactly, baby, I get you. You could sell. Oh, there's a thought. We can always sell. That is the one thing we always forget that is a good option. Rather than burning it to the ground, just sell it with them in it. That is always my first option. Sell it with them in it. It's quick, easy, painless. Reboot, reload, try again. I do a preventative maintenance inspection, Val, because let's face it, you and I, we don't like surprises. We don't like to be snuck up on from behind, if you know what I mean. Okay. With that being said, I want to know. I want to know if I got major water leaks. I get that there was a bed bug issue. I get that there may be other issues, and I'm fine with that. But I want to know what else is going on in that property. I mean, I don't want to scare you with some of the things that I've seen homeless do to a property. So I would suggest a preventative maintenance inspection. You want to be checking all plumbing fixtures inside and out. You also need to make sure you go into the attic crawl space. This is me talking to you, okay? Val. But those are options you have, okay? Go in there and see what's going on because you may have this epiphany of, oh yeah, this is bad. I need to get him out. I need to sell the house with him in it. So just, and I saw you just said, does anyone want to buy a house with a crazy tenant with a garden, shower, and potential bed bugs? Well, are you offering it at market? It's not in LA County, Val. This may be a good thing. It's outside of LA County, you guys. You could do a 1031 tax exchange, you know. I know we're all being funny. I definitely do a preventative maintenance inspection. Let's see what other kind of damage is going on there. Because you may be a fool if you don't do something about it. It may be too late and you're a fool if you do something about it. So I'd go look.
I have another question. Is the person disabled? Because mental health counts.
Exactly. Bingo, you just said it.
Because then you're subject to both federal fair housing law and you're subject to California Fair Employment and Housing Law, so Act or whatever.
Hence why I told her to go do a preventative maintenance inspection, because if we can prove that all the damages in the property were due to his mental condition, then Val's in a much better position in an eviction matter. Right?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm always just concerned whenever I hear about somebody being disabled. I used to, my very beginning of my career when I got out of law school, I worked for a plaintiff's attorney who was doing, ADA claims and stuff. So
yeah,
it's the plaintiff's bar is well aware of stuff and will make your life miserable.
Come on. How are you? I'm fine. Pay no attention to me. I'm just sitting here in the corner live on a webinar. If I'm in your way, yell at me, but I picked a rack with nothing behind me. So you should be fine. It's okay. Hey, all my people just found out I do ceramics and they're shocked. So I'm like, we'll just do it live in a corner. Thank you. At least I'm not saying anything off color right now. All right, what else have we got? What about cash for keys? Especially since he's homeless, he might take it. I understand you, Julia, but you got to remember one thing. He has a family behind him that's paying for the damages. It's paying for the rent. It's paying for the things. So I'm going to say it a different way. You inherited him, so you don't know his history. His sister used to pay the rent. Then she went nuts. So now his son's paying the rent. I doubt raising his rent by the allowed $90 would make him move out. Exactly. The $90 rent increase isn't going to make him out. What we need to do is make sure that he's not destroying your real property. That's my concern. Okay. Especially if you have someone in there that's mentally disabled. I've seen them completely destroy properties before. You have no idea. Okay. Do you guys know that if you clean chrome plumbing fixtures with bleach consistently because you have a mental disability, that it breaks down that chrome fixture and will rot it away to nothing? Did you know that? Bleach is corrosive and it will do that. It will eat away at that metal fixture. I had no idea. Again, mental disability. Some of it is over cleanliness, some of it is under cleanliness, but at the end of the day, we can't have it destroying our real property.
It also damages the floor tile.
Yes. It's also bad for your lungs. All right. Anybody else have anything? No. Nobody? Nobody has anything? All right.
Wait, I have a question. I just got in the house. It's Sydney, Patty.
So
So
wait, I think I saw April on here.
Oh,
April,
okay, go
somebody had a question for April. So April, if you're still on here, just let me know that you're still on here. Go ahead, Sydney.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Because somebody had a question for you yesterday and I was trying to hunt you down, but I didn't find you. So if they're in here, I'll tell them to ask you. Sydney, go ahead with your question.
Okay, so I know last week I think I shared my tenant gave her notice that she's moving out May 31st. I issued the right to inspection. Have not heard anything from her. She had a
Then hit the easy button.
Okay, so what does that mean? I don't do anything until she just is out on the 31st?
Bingo. So
Okay.
let me explain to you.
Okay.
California law says that tenants have a right to have a pre-move out inspection. This
Right.
pre-move out inspection is what you notified her of. That inspection has to be done at least 2 weeks prior to them vacating. What that
Right.
inspection is for is that's for you to go to the property and tell them you need to remove all your stuff, clean the unit, put it back in the same condition that you received it in, fix this giant hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Following along? So if they don't
Yes.
want that inspection, then you don't have to perform it. It's voluntary, but you legally have to offer it to them. You've done that.
Right.
You have a
Yes.
copy of the notice that you gave them stating that
Yes.
they have a right to their initial inspection. Hold
Yes.
that as gold. Where
Okay.
that helps you is if you get into small claims court and you end up in a battle because you charge something out of the security deposit, the judge is most likely going to ask you if you notified them of their right to have an initial inspection. Because technically, you can't keep anything out of the security deposit unless you offered them that right to the initial inspection. So that's where you pull that out and go, yes, Your Honor, she didn't return the document or request to have the inspection scheduled.
Right.
Done.
Okay.
Hit the easy button. Done.
Okay. Perfect.
If you're
May
ever
31st.
standing in
May
court,
31st can't get here fast enough.
if you're ever standing in court and you don't have that document, squeeze
Yeah.
your cheeks, okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No worries. And here
Patty,
comes, yep. go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. On the same topic though, but you don't have to do it, you do the pre-inspection with them there, or I mean, if they say they can't be there, then that's fine. But you do the pre-move out inspection with them there, but you personally don't do the move out inspection with them there, correct?
You don't have to. A move out means they surrendered keys. They're gone. Remember, the first thing you want to do when you're meeting them for a move out is what, Julia? Very first thing you ask them for. Hi, thank you for
Get the
meeting me
keys.
today.
Get the
Can I
key,
have
yeah.
the keys? As soon as you have those keys, they surrendered possession and the law falls in your favor regarding they can't be there. They're trespassing. Got it?
Okay. Yes. Yes. And well, now that I learned that, because I had that confrontation with it, get the keys and then just, I guess, leave. Well, not leave, but wait in the car is what you said.
You can perform the inspection. You can start walking through the house. You can do whatever you want. But if they get out of line, you can tell them, I'm coming back at a later time to do this. Have a great day. We're leaving now. Lock the
Okay.
door and leave. You have the
Okay.
keys. Your house.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Ooh, you have the keys. It's your house. If they have the keys, it's their house.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
No worries. I always have something. So for a different tenant, imagine someone is breaking into the laundry room, which is detached and in the carport. It is locked and keyed the same as the house. The tenant is pleading for us to change his locks. This is a different crazy tenant. I've had several. Anyway, I told him today that he would need to pay for the lock change, right? Does he have a police report stating his claim? If he doesn't have a police report stating his claim, then I would tell him that he's responsible for it. If an applicant says they have a comfort animal, do I have to have them fill out a pet application with the criteria and the rental application? No, it's a comfort animal. Are they claiming that it's an emotional support animal? Have them clarify. And it's a doctor.
She just said it's a comfort animal.
I don't know what a comfort animal is. Do you have a note from your doctor?
Mm-hmm. So, but how do you get the information about the action, whether it's been vaccinated, whether it's been licensed, like all that other stuff that's on the application? How do you get that information?
Once it's a wheelchair, you can't ask for that stuff.
Okay, so if they say it's an emotional support animal, then I need
It's a wheelchair.
Okay, so then, but I need the
note from the
letter
doctor.
from the doctor.
Bingo, you're done.
So that's it. Just a note from the doctor.
You're done. Once you
And
have a note from the doctor, you're done.
But does that, in that note, does it specifically say what animal it is or anything like that, or just this they need a comfort animal?
There's
What
no
does that
such
note
thing.
say?
There's no such thing as a comfort animal. It's an emotional support animal, a
Okay.
therapy animal, a service animal, or a seeing eye dog. You know, Guide Dogs of
Right, so
America.
if she says it's a comfort animal, it's a pet.
Okay, so you're going to need the note from her doctor
Right.
because it doesn't exist. Once you have a doctor's note, look at it a different way. It is kryptonite to Superman. Don't touch it.
So, Patty, you're saying that you cannot even ask for rabies shot if he says it's a service animal or emotional support
Look
animal?
at it this way. You're not going to regulate that anyway. The city is. The city makes them all have license and everything. They don't care if it's an emotional support animal or what. Your lease contract says they must comply with all city rules and regulations. You just got to be careful about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay. Do they still have to have all of that stuff? Yes. Is it you they need to provide it to? No, it's the city. It's animal control, right?
So if it's an ESA, you can't have.
It's a wheelchair. Can you have
Right,
any
so it
rules
could be
for a
it could be a
wheelchair?
150-pound dog.
You can't have any rules for a wheelchair.
Gotcha. Okay.
When I do the 24-hour inspection on the crazy guy with the new trailer in the front yard, I would then be fully aware of the garden shower, which brings up the habitability issue. Yeah, you're in a quandary. Exactly, Val. I wouldn't run with your head on fire on this one. I'd be really thinking about it. Wondering if I should attack the trailer versus the, yeah, you go after the trailer. And I'd put them on a new month-to-month contract with much stricter rules if you haven't upgraded it in 15 years. Kern County, you should be able to enforce that with a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy on the month-to-month. So hear me out. Attack the trailer and the unauthorized occupant, and then focus on getting them on a new month-to-month contract, because I don't know how old your contract is. I'm assuming you inherited. Yeah, you hear me. Get them on a new contract so you know exactly what the rules are. CAA has a month-to-month contract. It's probably going to be the best for you. Just put them on a 30-day. You should be able to do that with a 30-day notice of change terms of tenancy. The following terms are to be what's changed. All right, Mom's looking at me. It must be almost time to go. Does anybody have anything else? Mom says no. She's been walking around the ceramics warehouse for an hour. She's good. She has a cart. I'm being funny. Also, I got to get you your platter, Arlene, but it's currently entered in the fire. I'll send you a picture. You're going to call me? Okay. All right. If nobody else has anything else, I am going to leave you for the wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And like I said, if you're bored and you want something to do, you can always drive up to Victorville and go hang out at the fair. You can come throw clay with me. Can't throw it at me, though. You can't throw it at me.
Real quick, do you still need me?
April, who needed April Adams? Yesterday, somebody at the trade show walked up to me. I wanted to say it was Arlene, but I could be wrong. But somebody had questions regarding Section 8.
Oh, it was me, Patty. It's Christina.
Okay, I knew somebody did. Christina, meet April. April, meet Christina. Just
Hi,
so
Christina.
everybody else listening knows, Christina is a homeowner and April is our Section 8 Housing Authority guru. She has been with them for 30 years. She's retired now. She's helping you fast track the process because she knows the ins and outs. Okay, Christina, April, have at it.
Okay. Hi, Christina.
All right. Hi, April. I just learned about some family friends that we have, and they're in a tough situation as far as finances and housing and all of the above. And I wanted to be a resource to them. And I'd like to know if you know of any programs that help people that are in types of situations like that, where they're applying for disability, but they got denied because I believe it's because of his age. He's really young, but he can't see very well, and he had a brain injury last year. So I just want to be a resource and kind of leading them in the right direction of where they can go to get help.
Okay, the only programs that they're taking people and allowing them to get a Section 8 voucher. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. The only programs that I know of that are allowing people to get a Section 8 voucher, they have the wait list, which is what they announce in the newspaper, and everybody files for it, and they wait however many years or whatever, and then they get a voucher. Or the fast track way is to go through homeless shelters. So
Okay.
if you're couch surfing, you can be a couch surfer and still, and by couch surfing, I mean like staying with relatives, staying here, stay in your car a couple of days, and you go back over your aunt's house, then you go over your cousin's house, you go over your sister's house. So that's couch surfing. So you can be a couch surfer and then still register for services at homeless shelters, because the homeless shelters, like say if they have an addiction to whatever, they usually have a shelter that specializes in that addiction, and they provide rehabilitative services and outreach and whatever. So when you register through them, one of the services that they offer is housing assistance. And so certain shelters have a contractual agreement with different housing authorities, depending on what area and jurisdiction that the person is called their residence, whatever area they consider their residence, even though they're homeless, you know.
Mhm.
In that housing, so then the homeless shelter, after that person goes through whatever services that they offer, and they complete it to a certain degree, and they have a caseworker, and they're quote unquote stabilized, then that homeless shelter will refer them over to the housing authority for a voucher.
Okay,
Okay.
so I just learned something. I
Okay.
just learned during trade show season when I'm couch surfing on everybody's couch because I'm all over the place in trade show season, I might be able to qualify for a homeless.
And the second way is that some of these programs, and they're called project, you have tenant-based housing where the person has a voucher, and then you have project-based housing where
Yeah.
the voucher is tied to the apartment building. So some apartment buildings have it where you might have to go on a wait list to get into the apartment building, but once you're in the apartment building, if you stay there for a certain amount of time, that if you decide to move, they will roll you over into a tenant-based situation where they'll give you a voucher, and then you can go wherever you want. Now, everything that I'm saying is subject to this administration and what budget cuts they come up with, because a lot of the services that were addressing homeless, homeless
They've been
encampments,
canceled. Yeah, they've
they're
been
being
canceled.
canceled. But are they canceled right now? I don't know. But some of them are scaling back. So you really got to be active. Now, to find out about the homeless shelters, you can either call 311 or 211. I think 211 is for the county of Los Angeles, and
Uh-huh.
311 is for the city of Los Angeles. And you just let the operator know that, I'm homeless and I'm looking for referral services for that can help me do whatever it is I'm trying to do. Some people are trying to get their kids back and they need housing so their kids will have a place to go to. Some people are coming from domestic violence situations. Some people are adult foster children. They're out of the foster. A lot of those people are homeless. So depending on the situation, they'll direct you to whatever homeless agency. But you would want to find out if that agency is also has connections with the housing authority, and that you could possibly get a voucher.
Awesome.
Okay. It's very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
No
And,
problem. I'm
and
sorry I missed
just
you yesterday.
and just so you guys are all aware, April joins us here on our Wednesdays with Widgets, but she is a Section 8. I call her my guru because she knows everything about it. She knows about fast tracking the process, about waiting for your inspection to happen. And if that doesn't happen and the worker did this, April can tell you who to call to make that happen faster. So she's a great, great key player to have in our arsenal. So we thank you for joining us, April, and we're ecstatic to learn as much as we can from you.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. We appreciate you.
Patti, can I actually ask April a quick question on Section 8?
See how
Sorry.
this works?
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
And I was supposed to have the paperwork so that way I could read it directly, but I don't have it in front of me. But I got something from Section 8 saying that my tenants are like pretty much make too much money, or they didn't say make too much money, but they're over the whatever the threshold
Over
is.
income. It's over income.
Yeah, over income, and that they are terminated from the program. So does that termination mean like they're forever not going to be back in the program? I mean, I think that's what it means, but I'm just asking in terms of rent increases. Do
Yeah,
I have to send? Can I just send the rent increase to them now, or do I have to still continue sending it? Because you have to send it to Section 8 and your tenant is usually how it works.
that's correct.
So I
So-
don't have to send it to Section 8 anymore?
Well, let me say some. I'm going to say one thing to benefit the tenant and one thing that to answer your question. If the tenant stays there and they're over incomed out of that area, out of that based on that rent, what they would need to do if they want to keep their Section 8 is they would need to go to a higher voucher payment standard area. So
April just said make a move to Beverly Hills.
well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Brentwood. I mean, in LA City, you got Brentwood, you got Marina, you got.
Hey, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Basically,
so they're
they're
over
under
income.
the threshold. I get it.
Yeah, they're under the threshold because they're based on they're over income based off of the voucher payment standard in whatever area your property is located. But there are other higher voucher payment standards that they may be able to retain their Section 8 status. So
In
I
other
I
areas.
want
I got
to
it.
put that out there, and that benefits them. I don't know if you want to tell them, but hey, that's
No, that's awesome.
and then the other thing is that once they are off the Section 8, the Section 8 contract, the contractual agreement between you and Section 8 terminates. They're going to give you an effective date. So any correspondence or relationship that you have with the tenant will be just between you and the tenant, and you don't have to let Section 8 know anything else after that date. Now, if you have a rent increase in process and the rent increase was in process before the termination, then they need to do everything they need to do to conclude their obligation to you. But effective that termination date, you no longer have to inform Section 8 of anything.
And
Oh,
do you know
awesome.
what
Okay.
Patty? Do you know what Patty hears?
What?
No more CARES Act notices.
Oh,
You know, the 30-day pay rent or quit. Yeah, that doesn't
Yeah.
apply anymore.
doesn't apply. Yeah. Well, I don't know how many units. I don't know if you have
I know.
FHA loan or
I
yeah,
know.
but I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not expert on that part. But
We're
that's
not attorneys.
yeah. Yeah, so the tenant is over income. So as long as they stay there, they are going to be terminated. And, whatever that implies as far as the CARES Act. But on that termination date, you no longer have to inform Section 8 of anything because they are closing out the file.
Got
There you
it. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is just a single family rental in San Bernardino, and she's been there for 40 years. They're great people. I really like them. So, but thank you. Now I won't, because I'm like, maybe I should still send it to them, but I'm sure they probably don't want extra paperwork. So, okay.
Yeah.
Remember
Awesome, thank
how
you.
we talked about the Section 8 program lowering the amount that they were responsible to pay, making the tenant responsible for more of the money, and now we're seeing them weaning people off the program completely.
Mhm.
I want to do something nice for that tenant. I want to tell them congratulations. I mean, for the first time, they're standing on their own feet, and they need encouragement for that.
That's
Oh,
true.
I never thought about that, Patty. Yeah. I mean, I try to do something like not
It can be
during
very
Christmas time every so often, here
right,
and
but
there, but I never thought about that.
this is a huge accomplishment for them. They're standing on their own 2 feet for the first time in their life.
Oh, that's awful because the rent increase just happened to fall right at that time. So
But it is what it is. But now you could do something a little nice, saying congratulations or something like that, or you never know. I always try to pick out the little things because that
Yeah.
must be a huge accomplishment for somebody that's on the program or been on the program for so long.
I
It's
really
also
like that
very
idea. I
scary.
mean, I'll do that. I just didn't know. I'm like, now I'm thinking, oh gosh, is that offensive or something?
No,
Hopefully it
not-
won't.
I don't think it is. I think it's
I
great.
think it's great. Me too. Okay, cool.
Okay, and
Thank you.
April had a comment. I heard it.
I was going to say for tenants, it's very scary. It's very,
Yeah.
a lot of times tenants will quit their jobs to stay on their Section 8. They will refuse to work extra hours. They will take people who have jobs in their household and tell them that they got to move. in
They're
order
lacking
to keep,
self-confidence to
they are
stand
lacking
on
the
their own
self-confidence.
feet.
But another thing is really coming out is the economy is big on their heads as well as ours, and they're like, is now really the time to lose my Section 8? Like, you know,
Don't cut
so
me loose now. It's scary
yeah,
out there.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I
you
get
know.
it.
So
I think
I'm
we
just
all
saying
feel
that
that
from
way.
the psychology of the tenant, they are also thinking about those things too. So
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if they do get off of it, it's got to be a little scary, like she's saying. But at the same time, we need to try to support that, you know? I quickly reviewed his contract, version 1112. Oh, wow, Val. And it says nothing about additional tenants. And back then, I did not attach our house rules causing extra. Okay, so do a 30-day notice, change terms of tenancy. And you may want to upgrade the lease contract at that point. See the one above. Okay, Val, hang on. Oh, signed 4/1/15 when he had a roommate who since then died. Now he's Looney Tunes, but due for a rent increase now. You can do the rent increase, a 30-day change of terms with a new month-to-month contract attached. You're in Kern County, so you have a lot more leeway on what you're able to do. Mom's walking by again, so I'm gonna get off of here because that tells me she's done.
well, thank you.
No worries. Thank you, you guys. If anybody needs anything, you guys feel free to call me. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It's all of you that makes all of this work, so I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Patty, and thank you, April, and everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, April.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Chris.
Arlene, everybody. All right. Yes, you can.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Thanks
everybody.
so much. Great seeing you.
Bye.